Hello everyone, yeah, it's me, the Pat. I decided to do something a little bit different today. We are going to be doing a tutorial on how to build a character on D&D Beyond. We'll be doing 2014 for this video and a few others, but we'll be getting into 5.5 as well, also known as 2024. But today we're going to be building the Paladin. So let's go through and make sure for the sources. This is something that you normally talk to your DM about, but we are going to be turning off some basic stuff. We're only going to be using some basic Paladin traits, but I want to go through and show you some customizable traits. Now, I know some of you might be experienced, but some of you might be brand new. So depending on how your DM wants to run their game, milestone is one that you kind of gain a level when you reach certain markers in the story, where XP is based around what you get for killing those monsters, or succeeding on certain skill challenges, or completing quests. I kind of do a little bit of both. If my party hasn't reached a certain level, I will bump them up to that level. However, they have the chance to exceed said level. Fixed health points is where it takes the average roll and adds your con modifier. Manual, you'll roll it, add your con modifier for every level. Prerequisites, meaning to take a certain feat, you need to hit certain markers. Like for some feats, for elven accuracy, you need to be an elf. Or there are some that are stat restricted. My games, we don't run with this, so I like to give my players the ability to take almost any feat. Yes, it can make them very strong, but it's fun. Same with multi-class requirements. I like to leave it open-ended, but normally you do have to reach certain stat requirements to be able to multi-class. This is entirely also up to your DM if you use encumbrance. In most of my games, we do not run with encumbrance. So if you don't run with encumbrance, this doesn't really matter. And this is more personal preference. So let's move on to, by the way, if you want to name your character, you just come up here and type in your name, or you can have suggestions. It does use a fantasy name generator that we're probably all very familiar with. But let's move to our class. Today we'll be making a full paladin. So paladin is a holy warrior bound to a sacred oath. By your DM and by you, this can mean an oath sworn under a ritual or sworn by allegiance with a sacred item, or a deity, angel, or even dark god. They have a hit die of D10. Their strength and con are their primary abilities. Strength and charisma. Sorry, I read that wrong. Wisdom and charisma. Most of the time, people kind of get a little bit thrown off because technically this class has 3 primary stats. But for spellcasting purposes, charisma is your primary. I would say strength is a optional feature. If you want it to be dex, you 100% can trade out strength for dex. Saving throw wisdom wise, it's mostly because stalwart knight is kind of the concept, so they kind of enter the battlefield unwavered. Their wisdom is more mental endurance than it is street smarts per se. So this will basically break down how your first level will go. So 1d10 plus paladin level is your hit dice. So say you're level 3, you would have 3d10. To hit points at your first level, you'll always take the maximum of your hit die plus your constitution modifier. And then you would do, every level you would roll a d10, or if you're taking fixed, you would do 6 plus your con. But normally, if you're doing manual, you'll roll a d10, add your constitution. You get your proficiency, all armor, shields, simple weapons, martial weapons. Pretty much you're proficient in everything but guns. Though there is a feat for that. Though Smite does not go on to ranged weapons, sadly. That would be really broken, though. You don't get any tool proficiencies with your class, but backgrounds can always cover that. Saving throws, we know, are wisdom and charisma. And you get to pick 2 skills: athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, or religion. Kind of focusing around that strength, wisdom, and charisma concept. Let's go ahead and click into this. So we're going to build to start with a level 1, and then we will move up to level 3 at its most for this video. If you want to go higher and kind of have a guide to how I would build a paladin all the way to level 20, go ahead and drop that in the comments, and we'll get working on that. So first thing first, I am building the paladin. I'm basing him around a character I was going to play in the Grand Hunt until I had to take over that. That video, that series is in progress and is going to be airing soon. Let's see here. So he was very persuasive. He was an inquisitor for the Holy Church. I would say he was also extremely insightful. Now, insight does not come from wisdom. I believe it comes from intelligence. And so he did take a little bit of a hit on intelligence when it came to like his base proficiency bonuses to his like ability saves. But he was very wise and very intelligent, very charismatic. He was built around Dex, so that's what we're going to be doing. Divine Sense. Now, your different subclasses can add a little bit to this, but normally it allows you to detect any celestial, fiend, or undead. There are some that give you the ability to sense Fae as well, and I have not seen any draconic or anything like that, but that is something you can talk to your DM about. When you use this feature a number of times equal to 1 plus your charisma modifier, if you like, you popping this off a lot. If you're like constantly like, it's in a story that revolves around the undead. Like my character Leoric in Dragonfire, which is another series that is in production right now and is going to be airing soon. He is that story revolves around undead, and so I plan to pop off the Divine Sense quite a bit. This can be a really good way to just know what's around you. Note, it does not go through like solid objects, so be aware of that. You can't Divine Sense it through the door, unless the door is like a portcullis or something like that that has holes in it. At level 1, you get also Lay on Hands, which is your own personal way of healing yourself and or other people. You get to restock this on a long rest, but you get a number of points equal to your paladin level times 5. And so basically at first level you have, I believe, 5 points, and then third level you'll have 15. So but also you can drop 5 points on yourself or someone else to remove a disease or neutralize 1 poison effect. So if, say, you're dealing with a lot of goblins that you're using like poison daggers and your whole party gets hit in but your healer can heal them if they had the ability to not be poisoned. You can run over or pop 5 points into them and release them from the poison condition. So now this is the optional features and traits. So there are different things here like Obajima's hero journey boon. These are things that you need to speak to your DM about, like the Crooked Moon things. They add different little key features. However, the original is like Harness Divine Power, which you can expend to use of your Channel Divinity to use a bonus action to regain a spell slot. That is always nice, especially for paladins who focus a lot on their spells or on their divine smites. Martial Versatility, it gives more options to their trading ability of like their fighting style. Whenever they would take an ability, a score improvement feature, you can replace a fighting style, so say you lose an arm, you no longer can use a shield and a weapon. For now, you can switch over to dueling or to defensive or something like that. So we've unlocked those. You don't really get much at level 1. My hit points are pretty blank for right now. So let's move over to backgrounds. So this is where, again, you want to communicate with your DM on what backgrounds are allowed. I'm just going to basically use some of the more basic ones. He is a knight. So the knight gives this... I'll make sure that this is the correct rule set for knight. Yeah, okay. So this gives a big story. Now, you don't have to follow the story. You can make your own, but it does allow you to pick a few new... You get a skill proficiency in history and one more. So his best was deception. So I'm going to choose deception, and he was always big on playing cards. He had a bit of a gambling addiction to himself. So whenever he could, he would pull out a deck of cards and rig each game he possibly could. Now, he was very proficient in Celestial. So this, again, talk to your DM. Discuss with them what is a very prevalent language in their game, in their story. Well, you're not picking like deep speech if you're never going to run into anything like that. Unless it's a personal flavor on your end. Also, sometimes DMs will be like, yeah, don't take anything like that because that wouldn't make sense for your character to know, or something like that. Of course, I have a retainer. So this is something that was really beneficial to my character. However, the beginning of the story, I didn't have him because I was on the run and I couldn't locate him, but later on I did find him, and it made things a lot easier when it came down to like getting some side things done. Instead of us having to go shopping, we basically said, hey, we need these kinds of items. Here's the gold to go purchase it. Don't spend over this much. So it was pretty simple, pretty good. If you don't like to do those nitty gritty little tiny things, Knight Retainer is really good. Character details. So alignments, this bases around like a lot of from game to game. My game's alignment doesn't really matter. Faith does, because my game has a lot of gods, a lot of religions, so forth, so on. Lifestyle, this is more of like, think of all of these right here as like guidelines for yourself to understand your character in the best way they can. Same with personal characteristics. They're very much guidelines. Notes, this is obviously, we know what notes are, right? Everyone should be taking notes. This is the perfect place to take your notes. This allows you to keep track of organizations, your allies, your enemies, so forth, so on. And then physical characteristics. This allows you to describe on your character sheet so that you can refer back to it if you don't always remember, like, oh wait, how heavy is my character again without armor? Oh yeah, that's right. So this definitely helps. Not always do you need to fill this out. Some DMs are a lot more picky when it comes to, yes, have these filled out, but not every DM is. As long as you have a good representation in your head what your character is and what they look like and their lifestyle, then you're good. So let's go to species. Species, also race or lineages or bloodlines, whatever you want to call it. So there are the basics. There's Dragonborn, the Dwarf, the Elf, the Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, Halfling, Human, Tiefling, and Variant Aasimar. Of course, there's the expanded rule set that goes into a whole lot more. Now, each one of these kind of have their own special traits, their own special abilities. Depending on the game, it highly matters on what races are very prevalent or what races your DM permits. I have a thing against flying races. I do. If you watch Grand Quest Season 2, you'll know that Zoe and his flying is a bit of a pain in the butt to me. Can't quite target him because I don't target my players unless I have to. or unless the creatures are smart enough. But flying's a pain in the butt, so I don't blame any DM for banning flying. I do have a hard rule where no flying. If you want to play a flying race, you can play a flying race, but you don't get the flying until level 5. After about level 5, you can start. The DM can start handling flying a little bit easier. If you don't like that, you tell me why in the comments. Let's see here, but we are going to go with human, and we're going to go with human variant. So human variant basically is like it's the lineage concept, or what's it called? Let's go down and see if we can find it. I think I passed it, or did I? Oh yeah, it's in the expanded, I think. Custom lineage. So custom lineage is like a more open, broad sense. Like I can be part gnome and part dwarf. Well, this allows me to go in and change a few things about my class to make it a little bit more open-ended. But Eric was a human who was then tested and experimented on to imbue DndCharacterCreation-like nature to him. He was a paladin rogue soul knife, so he had that psychic stuff. So we're not getting that far, but this does allow you to pick a language. Common is always normally given, but he was very good with Elvish. His ability score improvement sections were charisma, and we're gonna go with intelligence. So this is a little bit more customizable to you. Taking this one does kind of suck a little bit. So human variant, if you are allowed to, I do recommend taking the custom lineage, mainly because you can customize your size. You can take a feat, but you are not limited to like the +1 to each one, right? You're a little bit more open-ended. So I took where is it? So these are feats. Feats are extra little additions to your character that give them like special abilities or special traits. Normally you only get them at certain levels, and you have to replace an ability score improvement to get them, unless your DM hands them out like candy, like I do. But that is the perk of taking the custom lineage or human variant. You get a feat, and the feats sometimes are very much worth it to lose out on special little traits and features that the other races get. I chose Lucky because the ability to just get 3 rerolls helps a lot. It does. It's like, oh, I failed that one. Here, I'm gonna lucky it. Oh, I failed again. Let me lucky it. It gives you like 3 extra tries per long rest to be able to succeed on something. And when you're mostly talking and you're the kind of the face, you need to be able to succeed. So this is where it comes into play. You can either take up a proficiency or dark vision. What other side, or what does that particular race that your species that you come from, what do they get? Well, are they more about that dark vision, leave the proficiency for background and class, or are you going to be more proficient as a person? I'm going to choose proficiency because I don't believe Kalashtar have dark vision. So I'm going to take that, and I am going to play, put it into perception, because perception's always handy. Languages, we need that Elvish, and there we go. We have our race. So let's go over to ability scores. So there are three different ways. There's point buy, standard array. Standard array gives you a select number, like a select set that you can put places. Point buy gives you certain amount of, it puts you all at like base, I think like 10, and you go up, and depending on how your DM is, if they go raw, it goes up by raw rules is written, goes up by certain amounts, kind of like Baldur's Gate. Manual rolled is the most popular though when it comes down to things. Most modules are built around the standard array, so if you want to kind of follow the module better, I would go standard array for your players. But let's go ahead and do some rolls. So how the rolls function are, they take the three highest and drop the lowest, and that's what that number is. There are different rolling methods, so just check with your DM on how they want you to roll. I've gotten pretty good stats so far. Watch, I'm going to get real bad right here. Nope, that's a 10. That's decent. No modifier, but... Oh, there's a 9. All right, so he was not strong. So I'm going to put the 9 in strength. See what I mean by... I went a different direction. I went more dex-based fighting than I went strength-based fighting. It did limit what he could wear armor-wise, but it is what it is. He was, by all intents and purposes, a sneaky paladin. Let's drop the 10 in con. The 16 in charisma, the 14 and 14, and then 12 in wisdom. So I have pretty much, now I'm going to hit apply. So this is also where I need to choose my ability scores because I chose human variant. Choice increased by 2. So let's raise my let's see here. Let's raise my wisdom, actually. That way it matches the rest. So as you can see, I have a -1. For every 2 points, pretty much anywhere below 10 up to 8 is -1, and then anything basically every 2 points down -1, every 2 points up you +1. So for 14 I have +2, the 10 is 0, 14 is +2, 14 +2, 16 +3. So I did focus a lot more on my charisma because that's where a lot of my playstyle is. Now we're going to choose our equipment. Now this is up to your DM. So equipment, you can roll for your gold and then go and purchase stuff based around that amount that you get, or you can start with starting equipment. This is determined by your DM. I tend to say start with the starting equipment and some gold, mostly to get my players that little extra edge. I tend to run a little bit harder games. So we're going to pick a martial weapon and a shield, and I am going to pick a dex-based weapon. So I am going to pick a rapier. And then I'm going to pick 5 javelin. Nah. I'm going to pick a simple weapon, and I'm going to go dagger. Explorer's pack. And then I'm going to pick a amulet for my holy symbol. And I'm going to add all my starting gear. Now, this finishes up my character sheet. You can see all the stats here. All my proficiencies. If it's got a little black dot, it's a proficiency. Now, there are different things like expertise, which glows that blue color. And expertise doubles your proficiency number. So if I have 2 added to my score there, then if I have expertise in it, it will add the 2 again, being a +4 to my save or check instead. So, and then as you can see here, all my little options here are filled in. So it's basically taken this number right here and added it to these numbers here down onto this. I'm currently not wearing my armor. So if I go here and then I can equip my gear by clicking these little boxes. And did it give me my shield? Yes, it did. So now my AC is 18. I still have a pretty low but decent initiative for a level 1. 10 HP because I did not have any con, which sucks. I am squishy. Thank goodness for high AC. Now later on, that doesn't really matter because they have such high to hits that you just can't quite get enough AC to defend yourself. And then obviously you've got your abilities here. You can click through to different things to kind of organize them. Features and traits. This is where you can see what your class and your feats are. These are your, backgrounds and stuff like that. Now, if you have any damage, defenses, or conditions, you can add them here. How your passive perception is functioning is, I believe it's 10 plus your wisdom plus proficiency if you're proficient in perception. That's why I have 14. And same thing goes for all of these. This is where you can see your proficiencies in armor, weapons, languages, and tools. Now, let's go and level my character up a little bit. All right, so level 2. I am still functioning with the fixed, so that would be my total average would be 15. Total fixed value is 16. I am not sure why it's 16. But hey, let D&D Beyond do what they want to do. I have ran into some DMs who are like, take the total possible HP, and that is your hit points. So they don't do the average or roll. They just say you get the maximum amount of HP you possibly could get. Those are some games you got to be scared of because why they let you have so much health? At level 2. You get access to fighting style. So each one of these have a special little thing. Like Blessed Warrior gives you cantrips. Blind Fighting gives you the ability to have blind sight out to 10 feet, which is crazy. See invisibility and stuff like that. Interception allows you to, if you're within a certain range, kind of cause disadvantage. Great Weapon Fighting basically allows you to reroll 1s and 2s on your damage. Great combo with Great Weapon Master and Savage Attacker. Protection allows you to use your reaction. Interception is the one that reduces the damage. That's right. So Interception reduces damage to allies within certain range of you, 5 feet. Protection makes the attack have disadvantage. Dueling. When you are wielding a melee weapon in one hand and no other weapon, you gain a +2 to damage rolls. This is really nice if you are wanting to focus around being a high damage dealer, right? Like glass cannon or all around pretty good one. So me going Paladin, more damagey, more movement based, this one's pretty good. But if early levels you want to be a little bit more defensive, a little bit more protected from attacks until later on you reach level 4 when you get your first option to get an ability score improvement or feat, and you get to change this thanks to the optional rule. You can change it over to dueling, but this allows you to have that +1 AC, giving my character a giving my character a 19 to AC, which is great early levels. Your DM is going to be, does this hit? No. Does this hit? No. Does this hit? No. Pretty much have to roll a 19 or a natural 20. Really, they have to roll really high because most creatures at early levels don't have high modifiers unless your DM is sadistic. This is also when you unlock spellcasting and Divine Smite. So Divine Smite allows you to use a spell slot. Whenever you make a melee weapon attack, you can expend a spell slot to do 2d8 at first level, going up 1d8 for each level. However, if it's does max out at 5d8. If you are dealing if you're dealing with undead, you get an additional D8 added on to that. So that's always nice. So like I said, if you're functioning around an undead campaign, Paladin is a for sure go with. You know what I mean? Just the overall capability of dealing with the undead is crazy. I think we get we've already done that. So this is when we're going to be able to do our spells. So for D&D Beyond, they pretty much give you the ins and outs on what you need to do for your spells. So you'll know 4 spells. Each one will be at first level, and you can kind of categorize what kind of spells, like if your DM's like only 5th edition core, then that's what you're going to function with, and you just select that and it won't give you anything else. Bless, always handy. That extra d4 on ability checks, let's see, saving throws and attack rolls is always nice. For talkative characters, command is really good. Compel duel, in theory, is really good. I've just never seen it really pop off, but that's just me. A little bit of extra healing is always good. Divine favor is always good. Heroism, always good. A lot of good support spells. Shield of faith, early levels, very helpful. These smites do stack with your divine smite. You just need to use a bonus action and a spell slot, so you'll end up being like you'll end up being using 2 spell slots to be able to deal the damage. But if you take like Searing Smite and then Divine Smite, you're doing quite a bit of damage. On top of that, if you go with the path that Eric did, I was planning to do like a bunch of like sneak attack damage and stuff like that. So I've picked 3, so I need to pick 1 more. So let's go with Detect Magic, because he was an Inquisitor, so noticing magic was always very important to him. So my HP went up by 6. That's right. Average of a D10 is 6, so that's why it went up. That's right. I have Divine Smite, and my proficiencies have not gone up yet. Let's go to level 3. All right, so level 3 is when you get to pick your Sacred Oath. So this is your subclass. For the core, you get Oathbreaker, Ancients, Vengeance, and Devotion. If you want to be able to control undead and be like a dark paladin who's like really edgy, Oathbreaker. Go Oathbreaker. Vengeance is really good for being able to increase your capability of hitting. Ancients is really fun to play with. I was never really big on Devotion, but it's pretty much the bread and butter of paladins, so let's go with it. So this gives you a little bit of the lore and story of Devotion paladins. Note, you do not have to follow this. You can make something entirely yourself. They get Sacred Weapon. As an action, you can imbue 1 weapon with that you are holding with positive energy using a channel divinity for 1 minute. Add your charisma modifier to your attack rolls made with this weapon. So that's really handy. Every paladin gets turn undead, which is nice. Oath spells, something that you just get. So one of the reasons why I didn't pick up protection from evil and good is I knew I was going to get it. Sanctuary is really good as well. I mean, it's okay. If you run it the way our house rules run it, it's really good. But otherwise, it's a good way to just like protect a dying ally or an NPC. Then you get these at these levels, and they don't count against your spell slots, and they're always there. So I believe, do we get an increase in spells? We do not. So, and as you level up, you get different features like 5th level extra attack, so forth, so on. But it's pretty much the same repeated process. And so we've come to the end of this video in making the Paladin. I would like you to leave a comment if this was helpful. It would be awesome if we could hear a little bit of feedback from you guys. If you want me to go into more detail with these videos, this is the first one, and we're kind of figuring out how to do these ones. So a comment would be super awesome. And if you like the Storyteller's Tales content and you haven't checked out our shows yet, you really should. They're amazing. We have amazing players who put their hearts and souls into their characters and into their story. Don't forget to leave a like, a subscribe, and share us with all your friends, your family, your loved ones, and most importantly, don't forget, tell your grandma. See you next time.